Good afternoon and welcome everyone to our final Geospatial Enrichment webinar for the year. My name is Vanessa Marinakis and I'm the Events and Communications Manager at the GTAV. I would like to welcome our presenter, Jenna Williams, Education Manager at Esri Australia. Before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge and show my respect for the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today. In my case, that is the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations. I pay my respect to their elders past, present, and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions, culture, and hopes of Aboriginal Australia. I also extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people present today. This is a 60-minute session and it is being recorded. In the coming days, you will be sent a link to watch the video replay. I'll now hand over to Jenna.
Thank you, Vanessa. Okie dokie, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. While I share my screen, Vanessa, would you mind putting forward the poll that we've already established before? Can you all see my screen? I'm going to need a vocal yes.
Yes, I can see your screen and the poll is launched.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome everybody. My name is Jenna Williams. As Vanessa said, I'm the Education Manager for Esri Australia. A little bit of a background on me for those of you that don't know me. I've done the past few of these geospatial workshops, focusing on ArcGIS Online, Survey 123, and also story maps. So today we're going to have a little bit of a look at something called QuickCapture, which I'll get into in a second. So I have a few degrees, one of those being in the area of environmental science. And I think that qualifies me to do a lot of these in-field data collection application presentations, not only as a GIS expert, but also as being a person who's actually been in the field and used these applications for real data collection in industry. So before I get into anything, I just want to point out our Esri Australia GIS for Schools webpage, because the topic that we're about to go through, QuickCapture, has been notoriously said to me that it's a little bit complex. So I just want to point out to you that we have this section right here called Learn ArcGIS. And within this section, there is a card here called QuickCapture. And everything that we are about to go through today, you'll be able to find step-by-step quick tutorials and videos on everything that we're about to go through. So even though this session is being recorded, please don't feel like you need to frantically scribble down notes or anything like that. We have got all these tutorials and resources available for you. So I just wanted to point that out before I move on, and I will refer to it a little bit more as we go ahead. Okay.
Video. Yep. So she can see you.
Everything okay? Cool. Okay. So as I start, our GIS for Schools program, that for those of you that don't already have it or don't already know, is basically a free application, a free program, sorry, with over 30 applications that you can use for school, classroom-based curriculum, in-field data collection, all that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have
it's going to come through.
I can hear whoever's talking, by the way.
Sorry, I've just muted the participants, Jenna, so continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Was that you, Britton? I never recognized one of yours. There she is. Okay, so when you actually get a GIS for Schools account, which I'm pretty sure the majority of you do because I recognize a lot of your names, you have faced with a platform similar to this. So I'm not going to give a lot of orientation around the home screen right now because that's reserved for a different kind of workshop. But what I am going to draw your attention to is this little waffle pod grid right here. So if I go ahead and click on that, it will drop down all the online applications that you actually get with your ArcGIS for Schools account. Please note as well that we do actually have some desktop applications such as ArcGIS Pro and Drone to Map. These are actually downloaded through My Esri, and so they will not appear in this little drop-down section here, but just know that you do have those available as well. So Right here, this little orange icon is QuickCapture, and that's what we're going to have a bit of a look at today. So if I go ahead and click that, it's going to open up my QuickCapture page, which is going to look something like this. So to give you a bit of an oversight of what a QuickCapture looks like, I've created this, which few of you will have actually done in real life, because some of you attended the Queen's Victoria Gardens infield data collection that we did for the conference this year. So this is actually the QuickCapture that we used, and I'm going to give a couple more examples. But this is the data that we actually used in the park to collect for our example. So here we've got all these different kind of icons, and here we're looking at the amenities of a park. We've also got this statues option here, and as you can see, each of the statues I've got this little camera icon. And what that does is when you're in the field, which I'll show you how it works in a second, but when you're in the field, you can actually take pictures of whatever it is that you're collecting data from, okay? And then we had a little bit of a nature section. So we were looking at, you know, different kind of animals and flora around the park. And then lastly, we had the different paths, okay? So again, on these two animals, there's a little camera icon. So at any point, if you saw a reptile, you could take a picture of the reptile and it would appear in the map, okay? So QuickCapture is a in-field data collection application that can actually be taken offline as well. So even if you're going into remote areas or in somewhere with a lot of tree canopy cover, this application can be used in the field. So this is an example of what it looks like on your phone. You go out into the field and let's say you're walking around a park, and every time you see a bench, you would click this icon right here and it would drop a pin of the icon. You're carrying on walking, you see another bench, you drop you hit the button, it drops an icon of the bench, and so on and so forth. And so what that begins to look like is something like this. Now, this was about 25 people going a little bit crazy with this application. So it's a little bit of a mess, but you can kind of get the idea of what it's going to look like. So it produces a legend down the side here. You can click on any of these points that had the picture icon and actually open the attachment so we can see exactly what the picture was taken of. You know, you can touch any of these icons and it'll bring up the amenity, you know, what it is. You can change any of the icons and you can actually change the base map on these as well. So depending on what your data collection is actually on, maybe you would prefer to have the realistic satellite imagery rather than the topographic map. And so you can go ahead and change those there. Okay, so that's just a bit of an example of what it can look like once you've actually collected the data in the field. Another example is a real life data collection that I did actually walking my dog, because that's just the kind of gal I am. And I created this QuickCapture of hazards around my neighborhood. So as you can see here, I've got a litter and other hazards icon, uneven ground. And on these ones, I've got the camera icon as well. So I can take a picture. I could take a picture of every single thing on the entire QuickCapture if I wanted, but I chose not to. I'll show you how to set that up in a second. So our trails, we've got dog walking track and a road, and then animals that we might see along the track are these. And as you can see, you can have real life pictures like this koala, or you can have like little clip art emoji type icons as well. So if you're working with, you know, year 12 students, for example, maybe you want the scientific name of, you know, different kind of species in the application. Whereas if you're working with, you know, maybe year 7s, you might want the cute little emoji icons. Okay. So once I went in the field and collected this data, again, on my phone, just walking around, this is what it looked like. So walking from my house, down my neighborhood, changing onto the dog path, and so on and so forth, okay? And again, I can click on any of these icons here and open the picture that I took in the field, and it's there, okay? So finally, what I wanted to show you is this, this one right here. So this is something that we created for Brisbane Urban Environmental Education Centre. And what this shows is our QuickCapture down the side right here, but also with other layers integrated into it. So for example, you've got the QuickCapture right here, and we were looking at amenities down Brunswick Street. And then you've got the layer here of crimes around Fortitude Valley, which is our kind of nightlife zone. And then we've got the QSpatial land use data layer as well, so you can see what the land use is actually on as well. And if I actually turn on these other icons, you can see here there's actually data integrated from Survey 123 as well, which just is a really nice example of how all our data applications can be submerged onto the one map. So Survey 123, QuickCapture, ArcGIS Online, they all talk to each other and all integrate and share on the same map. Okay, so that's just something to be aware of that you can do. So I guess the question is, how do we make one of these? And this is what we're going to get into right now. So when you open your ArcGIS for Schools account, again, like I mentioned, you go to the little waffle pod and there's the QuickCapture icon. Now, strangely enough, this is where QuickCapture differs from all the other applications, because with Survey 123 or Story Maps or ArcGIS Online, you actually go into the application to create the data. QuickCapture wants to be a little bit different. So you don't actually create the data layer in QuickCapture itself, okay? That's merely just the application to collect the data once the data is already established, okay? So to explain a little bit better what I mean by that, I have to go to my content tab right here. So just to give a pre-warning, I have been told that QuickCapture can be a little complex. Just like anything, the more you use it, the more you get hands-on with it, the easier it's going to become. After you've made your first ever QuickCapture, the next one you make will be easier and easier and easier and so on. But the first time that people do see a QuickCapture, they do get a little put off, but please just bear with me. I swear it's not as bad as it looks, okay? Okay, so once we're in my content, we're going to head over to this tab here that says New Item. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and hit Feature Layer. So what we are doing is we're actually creating a feature layer that the data is going to sit in once it's collected. Okay, so define our own layer. Yep, that's what we want. We don't have any existing layers, so we're going to define our own and go next. Now, it's going to ask us to create our feature layers, okay? So this is the section where you create your topics, okay? So we're going to think of it as we're going to create a topic, we're going to implement those topics with features, and then we're going to put those features in a map, okay? And I'll explain what I mean by that. So for layer number one, and I'm just going to use the park example again. So amenities. Now, with the point layer, you can have point layer, line layer, or polygon. Now, obviously, in this case, we want it as a point layer because that is what we want. We want to see a bench, hit bench, and it hits an icon exactly where our location is, okay? So we don't want a line of a bench, and we don't want a polygon of a bench. We want that point, yeah? Okay, so amenities. Then you might have, trees. And again, you might want to have a point layer. If you were saying, that you wanted to do maybe koala habitat, just as an example, maybe that would be better as a polygon because you want to map the entire habitat, not just individual trees. But for this one, we're going to do point layer. Okay. And lastly, let's do, paths. So is it going to be a bike path? Is it going to be a walking path? Is it going to be a hiking trail, horse riding path, that kind of thing? And so for paths, we don't want point layer because we don't just want one single point on our map for an entire path. We would change that to line layer, okay? I'm assuming that makes sense so far because I think we all know how maps are supposed to look. And, even old-fashioned maps, you can see the walking paths on a map are always like lines. So just an easy way to remember it. Okay, so once I'm happy with my selections, I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now, really do put some thought into what you want to collect when you're in the field because QuickCapture is a little bit difficult to undo things once you've moved ahead. So just before you move on to different sections, make sure that you're happy with everything that you've done. This is your perfect time now to delete layers, add different layers, that kind of thing. So just make sure that you're aware what data you want to collect before you start creating this form, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Okay, and then here, you know, we're just going to do our usual things, add in a title. Okay, assign it to a specific folder that you might want to put it in. If you want categories, so maybe, you know, any of these kind of learning activities, tags, maybe year 12, year 7, geography, whatever it is that you're doing. And then once you're happy with it, you can go ahead and hit save. And it'll start to create that feature layer. All good so far? I'm just going to assume everyone says yes. Let's have a quick look at the survey. Thanks for the score. Brilliant. Okie dokie. Alrighty, so our layer is just finishing up. So what it's done now is it's taken us to our overview page. So we can see a little bit about what's going on our layer. We can see our layers right here. And if you go ahead and open it in the map viewer, so now we're based in ArcGIS Online. And if we go ahead and open it in the map viewer, it's not going to show us anything because it currently doesn't have any data there. Okay. So what we need to do is add the data. So for that, we're going to go to the data tab. I told you it's a lot of steps, but once you do it, it does make a lot of sense, I promise. Okay, so we're currently in the data tab and the current layer says amenities. So if I drop that down, I can see my 3 layers there that I created. So I'm going to start with amenities, okay? And I can go here to fields, okay? And it's going to show my object ID and if there's any attachments, which obviously there currently isn't because we haven't collected any data yet. So now I need to add some information to this to make it make sense, okay? This bit is a little bit tedious, I suppose. It's a little bit of copy and paste, but it's required for the next step. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my field name, which again is just amenities. So your field name can't have any spaces in it. So if you wanted to say, you know, types of trees, you'd have to say types of trees or one word, but your display name can have spaces. Your type, okay? So date is obviously the date. Double means a number. Integer means like a point or any other kind of data. And string is words. So a good default is if in doubt, make it integer, okay? Because we're not collecting words, we're not doing anything like that. So if in doubt, make it an integer because that's just general data collection, okay? I'm going to add new field. And now what's going to happen is in this little area right here, I've now got my amenities option right here. So if I go ahead and click on that, it's going to bring me up with this data view page. And I can now start creating a list right here, create list of the amenities that I want to collect. So for example, bench. Now you'll see that there's a code right here. Every single code will always start with 0 and then just go up to 10. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. Okay. We go add. Maybe I want bubbler. Code will obviously be 1. Then maybe I want flower bed. And spell it properly. Flower bed 2. And so on and so forth. So I'll add one more just for the purpose of demonstration. But obviously you can add as many as you want. So maybe I want dog park. Yeah, great. Okay. So once I'm happy with my amenities, and obviously this is, you know, the area that you would be looking at. So say, for example, when we did with Fortitude Valley, we were looking at security cameras and lights and graffiti and, you know, litter and that kind of thing. So this is the area that you would put those items rather than what I'm currently doing. Yep. Okay. So when you're happy with it, you can go ahead and hit save. Okay. And then it's just, again, a little bit of rinse and repeat back to the beginning. So now we're going to go ahead and go trees. Go ahead and hit that field tab. Add a new field. Again, it's just trees. Trees. I told you it's just a little bit of rinse and repeat this bit. Integer is our data collection and we add new field. Okay. Once we get here, we click on our new created layer and we go create list. So trees, maybe we want, oh, I didn't think about this, did I? Red oak. I don't actually know many Australian trees. It's all right. We'll make it up as we go along. Palm tree. Palm tree. Pine bark. And we'll just do those for now. Okay. But again, you know, as I mentioned before, whatever your list is, make sure that you've got everything added to it before you press save. Make sure, you know, if you're doing human impacts, for example, on the dunes, make sure you're doing, you know, litter and 4x4ing and camping and like all these different things. This is where they go. Okay. And finally, we do it again for paths. Okay. So I go fields, I go ads. My field name is paths. And again, even though this is a line, it's still an integer, okay? Because it's still data collection. Yeah, it's not a number, it's not writing, it's not a date, therefore it's an integer, okay? Add new field. Exactly the same as before, we're gonna hit paths. We're gonna create our list and we're gonna do bike path, starting at 0. We're gonna do horse riding path, starting at 1. We're going to do hiking trail and at 2. And then maybe we'll just do road. Okay. So again, you've got the options here of adding however many you want. And then you just go ahead and save it. Is everybody following along so far? I told you it's a little bit of rinse and repeat this section, but I'm sure everybody's good. I'm just going to check. Yep, cool. Alrighty. So once we've actually established the data that we're collecting for this, so we've created our amenities, you know, we've created our list for that, we've created our trees, we've created our list for that, and we've created our paths, and we've created our list for that. Now we've got the data, okay, and we can actually start to do the fun bits, which is symbolize what we're going to be collecting in the field, okay? So let's say, for example, that I go to Overview now, and I go open in Map Viewer Classic, and I open the data that I've just organized in my map viewer. Give it a second. Okay. So focus over Australia because that's where we live. And so what you can see now, if I go to details and content, you can actually see here my 3 layers that I just created. Okay. So this is the area that a lot of you will be experienced in already now. Now it's just changing the symbology before we put it in the QuickCapture application. Okay, so many of you have already done workshops with me on how to actually create symbology. So we're just going to go through it again, but just know that the form and actually setting up the data, that was all it was. So although there is a lot of steps involved in creating the QuickCapture form, it's a lot of rinse and repeat. And once you've done it a couple of times, it comes quite naturally. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is just going to change the amenities. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to that change style icon. It's currently on show location only. And we're going to change that to amenities. Yeah, and now what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the 4 amenities that I selected before. Now we can spend all day going in and changing these symbols one at a time, which is always the students' favorite thing to do. They love creating symbology in their maps, making it their own, and you know, having a bit of a play with it. So I'm going to change them for the first couple just to show you again as a reminder of how you actually do that. And then for the other one, I'm probably just going to leave it just for the sake of time. So dog, obviously there's a nice dog paw right here. Maybe we make a red one and we change the size to 20 so we can actually see it on our map. That's okay. Oh my gosh, sorry. Go ahead and hit on the next one, flower beds, and let's find a picture of a flower. If there isn't a suitable icon for you, you can go ahead and use an image So if I go there, I can actually steal an image from the internet. And that's where if you want more realistic icons, say, for example, you're doing, you know, a quick capture on weeds, and you want the actual specific image of the weed, you can go ahead and do that. Take the URL and then just pop it in there, and that will actually become the icon of the thing that you're collecting. Okay, but for this purpose, I'm just going to do a nice pretty flower. Okay, and change it to 20. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press OK and done to lock those changes in. If I don't press done and I just press OK, it won't save what I'm doing, unfortunately. Okay. Next thing, we're going to do exactly the same for our tree species. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and go change style. Make sure that the drop down is not on location and it's on trees. And our little legend's going to come up here. And because I don't have specific pictures of these trees, I mean, I could go onto the internet and get them all, but for the purpose of time, I'm just going to change their colors. So maybe we do a nice firefly effect on the trees, and our gum tree can be blue. Again, changing the size. Ironbark can be red. And so on and so forth. Palm tree can stay green because that's what color they are. And oh, red oak probably should have been the red one, shouldn't it? Let me change that round. I'm not even sure if red oak is actually a Australian tree or a British tree, but either way, we've got red oak. Okay, and so once we've changed those, we go ahead and go okay, done. And then lastly, just make sure that you go on and change, even if you're not changing the colors, make sure that you do change the attribute to paths rather than location only, just so that them options are actually there and in your legend. I'm just going to press done. Now, so far so good. We've gone into our content. We've created a new item, a new feature layer. We've created the subjects of our data collection, so amenities, trees, and paths. We've created a list of what's in our amenities, trees, and paths. We've opened it in ArcGIS Online, and then we've changed the symbology. Okay, so that's what we've done so far. Now, because this is going from one application to another, there's just a little I guess safety trick that you can do just to make sure that your symbology does actually carry over into QuickCapture. So if I go ahead and go edit, I can then go on manage and just make sure that I save my changes on each of my layers. Just because it's being carried over into a different application, sometimes it can lose a little bit of its data, but by doing this, it won't lose any of that data. Okay. Alrighty, so once you're happy with everything, you've picked all your icons, you've picked all your colors, you're just going to go and save it. Okay, so we're going to go QuickCapture example, Driving Teach Association Victoria, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Save Map. Okay, now we can open it in QuickCapture. Okay, so if I go back to my content, which is here somewhere. I go back to my content, I can now open the QuickCapture app and upload that layer that we've just created, okay? I'm just going to pause for a second before I open it and ask if there's any questions. I know I just gave a lot of information, and I promise it's really not as complicated as it looks once you're actually doing it. So are there any questions before I move on to actually open it in QuickCapture? Nope, brilliant. Okay. In that case, we'll just continue. So I've created my layer and I've saved it in my content. So if I go to my content now, it should be right there at the top where I've saved it. Yep, there it is. There's our web map that we created, and the feature layer under it is the layer that we created before we put it into the map. Okay. So now if I go and open my QuickCapture, I can just go new project, start from an existing layer, because that's what we've just created. So start from an existing layer, and here are all the different layers that you could potentially have created to put it into a QuickCapture. Now, obviously the one that we've just created is right here at the top. So that's the one I'm going to select. Now, this little pop-up at the bottom has just come up. It says create buttons from layer symbology. We want to make sure that that's ticked, okay? Because we've just spent all that time creating our different symbology in ArcGIS Online. If that was unticked, then the symbology would not follow across. Now, it is a default that it's ticked, but just good practice to always make sure that it is checked, okay? So you want that check to carry the symbology over, and then we're just going to go ahead and click next. You're going to give it a title. I'm just going to put another QuickCapture at the end. Save it in whatever folder you want to save it in. Okay, and then go create. It's going to have a little bit of a think while it puts it all together. And then this is what we're currently looking at, okay? So we've got our amenities. And if I can look here on, I want a large iPhone or a tablet or whatever it might be that you're using in the field, okay? So I use my phone. And I can see here the amenities that I created before. I can see the trees, and I can see my paths that I created, okay? So from here, we've got a few different options, yeah? If I click on some of these, and I can hold down shift and actually hold all of them. I can change the shape, for example. I can change the size of the icons. I can change the color. So maybe I want it, you know, that I want them all pink. You can have a little bit of a play with these and create whatever, you know, that you actually want to do with them, okay? If I go ahead and just click on this one, if I go ahead and click on this one, then I can actually choose a little bit of general settings that are really, really important. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that again. From being on the amenities page, I went up to the settings tab. Okay, now this right here, set recommended accuracy. QuickCapture is an application that was designed for quick data collection in the field. Now that means in a car or in a helicopter or that kind of thing. So the default recommended accuracy is 30 meters, because when you're in a car, by the time you've pressed one of the buttons, you've already gone 30 meters, okay? However, when you're on foot, that's a little bit different. So just make sure that your recommended accuracy is representative of how far you're going to be walking, you know? If you're going to be looking at, you know, street security cameras, maybe you want every 3 meters, you know, maybe you want it a little bit closer, maybe you want every 1 meter. Just make sure that you're aware that this is here in the settings tab, and that if you set your accuracy to 30 meters, the place where the bench was might not actually be where it was, okay? If it's set at 3 meters or 2 meters or 1 meter, that's obviously where the bench will be, okay? Distance to threshold, this is another one where, again, it was set up, you know, for obviously distance traveled being in a car or a helicopter or something. And these little question marks right here that can tell you what they actually mean if you're not sure. So just make sure that you do go ahead and change the tabs for the accuracy that you're requiring, okay? There's also this option here which says allow location edits. So when you create a QuickCapture and you're using it in the field, you can actually press the little map button when you're in the field and see where your point landed. So say, for example, I press bench, and you know it puts an icon of a bench, but it's like maybe half a centimeter out, and I want to move it to exactly where it is. You can have this time limit right here that allows you to edit locations. I don't really recommend doing this for students, if I'm honest, because first of all, if you put your accuracy settings to like 2 or 3 meters, it's going to be accurate anyway. But also, you just don't want them going in changing the data that they've collected. So I actually normally turn that off for students. However, if you do want it on, just know that you can put it as many seconds as you want, that they can go in and actually edit the data. And just know that once the data has actually been collected and it's opened in ArcGIS Online, so like this one, for example, I can go in and edit any of this data. So to prove that, when I was in Geography Teachers Association of Victoria's conference, we actually did this in-field data collection, and there's a random point somewhere. Someone put a bin somewhere. There. So obviously this person made a mistake. So I can just go in and go edit, and I can delete that. Okay, and now it's gone. So just know that you can actually go in and edit your data, delete things, move things around after you have actually collected the data. You don't really want your students to be editing data in the field. Yeah, it's just, I wouldn't recommend it. Next thing, you can choose your pixels for your photo size and the coordinate system that you work on. So our default is obviously the decimal degrees. Okay. Lastly, so say for example we want to do some pictures. Maybe we want a picture of, you know, every time we see a gum tree, we can go on this little data tab here and we can say show camera right there. So if I go show camera, now that camera icon has appeared on the gum tree, and I can choose to have a photo, a video, or both. And you can also choose how many numbers of photos or videos that the students can take. Say, for example, you don't have a limit on there. You don't want the students taking 900 photos of the same gum tree. You know your students and you know the rules that you need to set around this. But just know that everything that you create within QuickCapture has the ability to set, you know, rules around it, what they can collect, what they can't collect, you know, all that kind of thing. And then once they're actually in the field, all you need to do, once you've actually created your form, all you need to do is go ahead and save it. Okay. And just like with ArcGIS Survey 123, you can just go ahead and scan the QR code to your students, and the students will have the QuickCapture on their phones. Okay. Again, we've got the actual application. So if you're going offline, you will need the QuickCapture application installed into your phone. Which, if you just go to your app store, regardless of what type of phone you have, and search QuickCapture, it's the same orange logo, and you just download that, log in with your ArcGIS Online details, and then away you go. But if you don't have the app, that's fine. You can literally just scan QuickCapture and open it on your phone, exactly the same way that we would a Survey 123. You just need to be in service and have signal to be able to do it without the application. Okay, does that make sense? So again, I know there's a few steps to QuickCapture, and I do apologize for, I guess, the tenaciousness of it, I suppose. But just know that it is a really, really good application. I think a lot of you have actually had a practice with it when you came to the conference with me. And you know, you had fun with it. It's really, really easy to use. It's one of them applications that you can use over and over and over and over again. And once it's set up and it's fantastic. You can use it with junior students, you can use it with high school students. It's completely up to, you know, what everybody's doing. It's really customizable. And again, I just want to point out the GIS for Schools page, Learn ArcGIS and QuickCapture, and literally all these videos and blogs and tutorials and resources are here to help you along the journey. I actually also have a teacher that created these are her words, not mine, by the way. She created a GIS for dummies on QuickCapture because she said it was just so many steps. And so what she's done is she's created a GIS QuickCapture step by step, which is overly like descriptive. So if you would like that, she said that she's happy for me to send it round. So yeah, do let me know, and I can send it through to Vanessa for her to forward through to you all. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much QuickCapture. Did anyone have any questions? I see there's one question. No. Did anyone have any questions, or does anyone need to see anything again? Or does anyone have any specific in-field data collection that they're about to do that they would like some assistance creating a QuickCapture, anything like that? Wow, you're all so quiet. Okay, well, if there's no questions, Vanessa, I think that's pretty much it.
Hello.
Oh,
Sorry,
hello.
can you just mute yourself? I'm on Caroline's laptop at the moment. I'm Tiffany. I was at your
Yeah, hi, Tiffany. I remember.
Sorry, we've just got a bit of an echo here. Now it's gone now. What I'm just wondering is, I'd like to do this with students. I'm going to get them to plot certain elements around the school. So if I set up the, like you've just done there, the QuickCapture, they're all going around the school and they're all plotting the same thing, a bit like when we were together on that, professional learning with you, where we're all plotting the same thing. So we're all seeing the same statues. How would you recommend we use it with students so that we don't end up with, there's 15 groups, so we've got 15 statues all plotted in the same spot, for example?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you're collecting. So say, for example, you're doing, different amenities around the school, you could set the children into different groups. So these groups are going to focus on, shade around the school, and they're just going to capture the trees and the canopy cover and, the shade element. These children are going to focus on the amenities. So they're going to be looking at, the bubblers and the, blah, blah, blah. These children are going to be looking at pathways and, disability pathways and like safety hazards and all that kind of stuff. So even if you create one QuickCapture form, you can still say to the children that they're only collecting a specific area of that data, and then have each of the groups collect just that particular part of the data, or you can just have a map of a lot of data. Depends what it's for. I mean, if it's for assessment, you would probably get the students to create their own QuickCaptures in their groups and go out individually collecting their own data. If it's just like a bit of a, year 7 getting to know the application and stuff, I mean, a free-for-all data collection is not that bad. Like the Queen's Park data collection, although it's a lot of data, it's still a good representation of what we saw that day and what we collected and where we actually went and that kind of thing. So I guess it's up to you how important the data is.
Yeah, and I like that idea of giving each different group an element to collect, and that contributes to the one map. Is it possible, and then I was just thinking to myself, if you haven't got a lot, that you could sort of break it up. So, so for example, if you look at that one that we did, there might only be a few groups of, a few layers. So is it easy to duplicate? And then so you've got the whole experience for each different group. So say you've got, 5 groups, to duplicate it so that they're using all the features of QuickCapture onto their own map, and then the second group is doing all the features onto their own map. So at the end of the day, even though they've done the same activity, there could be map number 1 for group 1, map number 2 for group 2. Are you able to duplicate it so they get that full experience and they can see their own map?
You're not able to duplicate it. But I get what you're saying. So you mean like in survey 123 where you can have the students view only their own results rather than everything?
Yeah, so they're all still doing exactly the same activity, but they all get to do just their own. So they get to go collect all the data, see their own map with their own data collection. Even though each group of students is essentially doing the same task, they've still got just their own. So it's group 1 data, group 2 data. And as a teacher, you can go and have a look at each of the maps that each of the groups have done.
What you would do in that case is, how we created the layer in ArcGIS Online, and then we went into the QuickCapture application, we created new project, and then we said create project from current layer.
Yes.
just do that. Like, say you've got 5 groups, you would just do that 5 times, but each time you would name it something different. So, you know, school data collection group 1, school data collection group 2, and then you would just make sure that each group scans the correct QR code, and then that way they've got the same data that they're collecting, but an individual quick capture, if that makes sense.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, because we were just trying to figure it out. I've got 2 activities in mind, but I'm just thinking it's not actually going to work if they all do it, and there's probably not enough to give each group just one small element. So that would be really good to be able to do that. So yeah, great.
Yeah, so that's probably the way I do it, is just create 5 new projects, but each project be for a specific group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, yeah, just have that specific group scan the correct QR code for their number. And then that way they're having the whole quick capture experience, collecting all the data, but it's not embarking on the others, if you get me.
Yes. Yeah.
And with that, you can also join all the data on the same map, or you can individually turn the layers on and off as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
So, need to join them all on the same map, though.
No.
You might check productivity.
Yeah. It's an option if you wanted to. You know, if you wanted to say, like, you know, oh, this group said that there were 3 bubblers, but this group said there were 5 bubblers. You know, you lay group 1 and group 2's map over the top to say, well, these have got 2 bubblers here. You know, you don't have that one, and which one was right, kind of thing. You know, it's a little bit of data analysis after the fact, I guess.
Okay, that sounds really good. Thank you for answering that question. That makes it so much clearer now in my head how I would actually move forward as a task. So thank you.
All good. Any other questions?
I think I missed it, and maybe I'd get it if on the repeat video, which I'll probably have to listen to. But the after you've repeated and you've done the symbols and you've added all the symbols to everything, and you've done each of the different layers, you've done your amenities, you've done your trees, you've done your paths. After that, and before you opened it in QuickCapture, you did an edit, manage, save changes to each layer. Can you just do that again, just a bit slower?
Absolutely.
Because I got everything except that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Which one was it? Okay. So you can see my screen, yeah?
Yes. Yep. Great.
All right. So we've changed our symbology. That's everything right here. Okay. And then there's just this little pencil icon right here, edit. So I'm just going to go ahead and click edit. And all it is making sure that our icons and our changes are completely locked in. So I'm going to go manage. And then it's currently on the amenities one. So I'm just going to make sure. And if I had any changes right here, it'd allow me to select that save changes. But because I've already done that and I've not made any other changes, it's not available right now. And then I just go to the next one, trees. And again, if I had any changes, it'd allow me to save changes. And then I go to paths and I save changes. And it's just to lock that symbology in so that when we transfer it from one application to the next, those icons follow along. So that when we create our quick capture project and that option at the bottom comes up, you know, that carry across the symbology from one application to another. It makes sure that it definitely carries it over. And strangely enough, I've had it where I forgot to do the edit section and it genuinely doesn't take the icons across. I don't know why. But yeah, I've had quite a few people go, oh, I did all the steps, but it won't open in QuickCapture. And I'm like, oh, you definitely didn't do the edit bit. And they're like, no, we didn't. So that's just a bit to lock it in.
That's helpful. Thank you. That's cleared that up for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Like I said, QuickCapture is honestly one of my favorite applications. I think it's fantastic. I've used QuickCapture with year 3 all the way up to year 12. It's great. The little ones love it because it's so visual and you can have, you know, the actual icons. It's a great differentiation tool because especially if you've got those visual learners or, you know, children with some kind of learning difficulties, seeing the picture of what they're actually doing is just so helpful for them. But then obviously, like with your kind of advanced students as well, you know, if they create their own QuickCapture using like the scientific names of, you know, weeds or tree species or whatever it is, you know, you can edit and change the application based around your students, the needs, what the subject is, what data they're collecting. It's really, really versatile. And I know there's quite a few steps in the setup, but once it's set up, I promise you it's totally worth it. And the more you do, like anything, the easier it gets. So now I can set up a QuickCapture in like 10 minutes, not even. Whereas, you know, the first time I did one, it probably took me about 20 minutes, half an hour. You just get better and better and better at it. So please do give it a go. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you would like another kind of chat with me about a specific QuickCapture for your school, always available and helpful, like to be helpful to people. But yeah, feel free to watch back this video. Feel free to go to the Esri Australia GIS for Schools page and watch those resources. They talk slower than me as well. So, and yeah, please do get in touch if you've got any issues or questions.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Jenna. I think our kids are going to love it. And
Yeah,
just think how it really, it's a fantastic structure for them to really enhance their observational skills, because you don't normally observe to that intensity unless you have to. Like there has to be some structure around it to force you to really, you know, make observations, really clear observations. Fantastic.
Exactly. Thank you. And nice to see you again.
And sorry about the surfy question. I did actually manage to work it out, but it just took me a while. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jenna, for your presentation today. We will be offering more geospatial professional development next year. Our 2024 calendar will be released soon. And a reminder that our GTAV VCE conference will be held on Monday, the 27th of November. This is a one-day in-person event. It will be held at Monash University's Clayton campus, and our registrations are now open via our website. And to conclude, if you don't mind taking a minute to complete our short feedback survey, just simply scan the screen, the QR code on your screen, and if you can complete that for us, we'd appreciate it. In the coming days, you'll receive an email with the recording of the session too. Thanks everyone for attending today, and thank you so much again, Jenna, for your time and knowledge. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.